welcome to all of you. If you're watching this live, thank you. It's great to have you here. If you're watching this because we recorded it and we are sending it out to you, it's also thank you for also spending the time to do that. My name is Todd Tribble, and I'm the president of Campus Kaizen. I've got here in a long route, and I'll show you my journey of how I got here. The one thing I've noticed right off the bat, I've spoken with many of you as clients already, and it's quickly apparent that the partnership capability that we have is very, very strong. This company has been around for over 5 years. It's grown very, very fast in that time frame, and it's nice to be able to jump in and be able to sort of continue on with what has already happened. And many of you were part of that growth trajectory, and there's some things that have gone really well. There's some things that you've raised that are things and challenges that we want to address. And so we'll go ahead and talk about that. At the end of the day, what I'm most excited about is that we're able to do something together. And that's sort of my approach when I come into a company is the collaboration piece that we want to have. So what's the journey that brought me here? So I graduated from Valparaiso University with a Bachelor of Science in education. Never used it. Never actually was in the classroom. I'd student taught for fifth grade. And then at the time when I graduated, there were a lot of teaching jobs available. So I ended up taking a job as a youth director at a church. But the overall spot that I absolutely wanted to do is I wanted to be a pilot. And so I ended up going to flight school for Delta Airlines down in Florida and flew for them. And so I was a pilot with Comair Airlines, which was an affiliate of Delta. And I did that until 2006. So my career path is not in ed tech when I started. Delta Airlines went bankrupt, and then they also merged with Northwest Airlines. So if you're old enough to remember Northwest, especially if you lived in maybe the Detroit area or Minneapolis or anything like that, Memphis, when that all happened, I was a casualty of that. When airlines go bankrupt and they merge, things get cut and salaries get cut. So I had to choose a different path at the time. And that's how I ended up in ed tech. So I currently live in Cincinnati, and there was a company called Hobson's, which was an ed tech company, very large, and they were based here. And inside that, they owned different entities. There was Naviance, Starfish, Radius, Gecko, and Cooter. And so Naviance, Starfish, and Radius were actually part of Hobson's. And so I spent 12 years at Hobson's and was ended it as an executive within Navient, Starfish, and Radius for my last 6 years. And so if you've heard of any of those companies or you were part of them in anything, whether it be higher ed or K-12, that's where I was. And then since that, I went and I worked with two other companies as an SVP of North America for a company called Gecko, which was a company based in Scotland. That was an AI company. And then most recently, a company called Cooter, which was a competitor of Naviance in the college and career readiness space. And I've led teams at all of those and played both in the K-12 and the higher ed markets. Love them both and excited to pick that up because Campus Kaizen deals with both as well. All right, so it's a mission worth leading. One of the things whenever you come into a company and you're going through the interview process is you really sort of pull up the hood and look underneath and go, okay, what do we have here? And is this a place that I would like to come? And immediately during the process that I went through, there were some things that jumped out and that made me excited about coming here and leading and being part of the team. So I just want to call out some of these things. One is there's a flexibility that is within the company, within the product. Because of how the product is set up and how the company is set up, especially now with the acquisition from Cordance, which I'll address here in a second, there's a flexibility to go across the entire landscape. K-12, higher ed, different size districts, different size institutions within the higher ed space. And that flexibility, one, provides opportunity, but also means we can help a very large swath of people. And so that was something that we draw. You're going to hear this tagline a lot: this protect students, support staff, and stay compliant. I think those are three things that I think this company takes very, very seriously. And that excited me as well. They had some direction. They had definitive reasons of why they were doing things. Continuous improvement, Kaizen actually means in some regards continuous improvement, and there's this never settling approach that was present, and I can see that already many times in talking to all of you. There's that same idea that we have to keep getting better. You can never just settle, and especially in the ed tech space, if you settle for too long, you're going to get bypassed, and so you have to keep moving forward with what all of you want as clients, and keep making sure that you're doing the right things by the clients. Efficiency equals calm. I love calm, and hopefully, if you ever get to know me, personally, and we have conversations, I do try to bring an element of calm to most things. And the way you can get calm is by being efficient. And I think our product that we'll talk about and what Guardian does provides efficiency, which hopefully then provides calmness to what you're trying to do. Many of the things that go into a case management software can be some high pressure, highly sensitive things. And we want to bring a calmness to that. And so by being efficient, we can do it. And at the end of the day, this work matters. There are a lot of different products and different companies that are out there. And I wanted to be someplace where the work we were doing truly mattered within the landscape of where we were talking, who we were talking to. When it comes to things that are going into the Guardian platform, from Title IX to behavioral to conduct to there's people out there that are using this for ways that we didn't even imagine. And every single time, what is being put in is work that is truly important, whether you're helping someone with a very serious issue, whether you're trying to see where and what people are trying to choose and what they want, whether it be in the institution or a district. What we're doing is important, and I like that. And I hope that that will come and be reflected as we talk more and more with each other. All right, so there's some leadership principles that I believe in, and I don't say this that we're obviously going to be talking more from a client, and partner perspective, but I hope to bring these into the company itself, which that hopefully are reflected back to all of you when you're working with us. So one is listening a lot. I really truly believe this is a leadership principle. You have to listen. You have to understand what's going on. You need to understand what each individual is doing. If I translate that over to all of you, we need to listen to what all of you are going through, what's happening in your office, what's happening in your institution, what's happening in your district, and understanding that, and then making sure that comes back into how we develop, how we handle, how we work with you. I think it's important to focus on the outcomes. Very easily to get into the minutia of a detail of a how you do something or or a process. At the end of the day, it's what is actually being done. What is the outcome that we're trying to achieve? And if we get to that outcome, great. And how we get there, that can change and flex and be different. But the outcome is really most important. For all of you, it's the same thing. You have a reason you're buying the platform. There's an outcome you're looking for. We need to make sure that we go do that and bring that to the forefront. Transparency is huge. And this is a very cliche thing. I know everyone says going to be transparent. It's a buzzword that happens in business and happens across the board. It's something that I do truly try to bring to conversations and to even hard conversations. So for how this could play out with us is if you were to ask why is something happening, why is something not happening, I'll be very honest with you why. And even at the detriment sometimes of what it may mean to us as a company, but I also don't want to overpromise things and lead you down a path of something happening that is not going to happen. That doesn't benefit anybody. So the transparency piece is really important to the client and partnership relationship that we'll have. You hear me use the word partnership already a lot. That's also very important. All of you are just not clients. This is not a client base where that we're just sort of saying, "Hey, come in. You're a new client. Great. We got the revenue. We're building up our portfolio, and then we're moving on." I do want the partnership. We've been blessed with. I'll show you a slide here. Over 200 of you that are out there on all sizes, all places across the country. We need to build on that. All of you are looking to us to deliver things to you. I would also hope that we can derive things from all of you, from what you can bring to us, from knowledge in the market and everything else. So definitely want a partnership there. And then finally, support is a culture. I live on, and you can also die in this too, because if you don't have good support and if you don't have good customer service and you don't treat the clients right, eventually that comes back to bite you. I was, if any of you were a Navient's client back in the 2017, 2018, 2019, we went through a really hard support function, and I was part of that. We basically scaled too fast, didn't have enough support to handle it, and there were a lot of things that just sort of went wrong, and it tainted the name pretty quick. Having watched that and seeing how that played out has ever since then has made me very hypersensitive to making sure that we do support right. Now, there's things that we have to continue to scale and get better here. So this is not something that is a switch and it becomes instantly better tomorrow. I'm going to ask for a little bit of patience from everyone as I build this into what we have, but that's the goal. And we're going to get ourselves to that place. So that's something that I will absolutely bring to, I think, this overall business unit and keep us going and helping us get to that where it is a culture piece. It is not something that we just do. It's something that we do all the time. All right. So what is the current state of the business? So some of you may know this, some of you may not, depending on how and where you came in or how much you've been paying attention to the business itself. So Campus Kaizen itself was acquired by a company called Cordance back in late 2024. And Cordance, what is basically their sole purpose is that they buy companies. So that is what they do. They're owned by a company called Aquiline, and that's a very large fund. And the idea that Cordance had, which is a little unique in the industry, is they have different verticals. There's three that they have. There's a commerce, there's an industry, there's an education vertical. And the idea is to buy small growing companies, bring them in, and then able to provide shared services to them that they couldn't necessarily afford in their current state, which then allows them to grow at a faster rate. And that's exactly what they have with Campus Kaizen. They saw a high growth company, a lot of great clients. They went out, they bring the purchase in, and now what that means for all of you, the benefit you get is I have now access as I come in. We have the people that were working with Campus Kaizen originally, but now I also am bringing in shared services of marketing and support and development teams and revenue operations and you name it, contracts, all that. And I get to bring them as part of the team. So you instantly grow the company staff-wise exponentially, which allows us to come back to you faster. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about are us going and putting those things in play that then help you as the overall client. So that happened in late 2024. There was a product that also the Campus Kaizen sold that was an MCR product. That MCR, My College Roomie, was rolled over to a sister company within Cordance called eRes Life. So some of you might actually be part of both. So some of you might be and having been sitting over now with eRes Life, but you're using the Guardian product. And so if that's the case, that's why there's a split that you see there. We talk regularly. Kate is the president of eRes Life. She's fantastic. If you ever want an introduction to her, let me know. I'm happy to do it. But we work closely together on things. And so, but if you are sitting in that spot where you're wondering, hey, how is this functioning? That's how that part works. Still under Cordance, but two different businesses that are there. Both get the shared services though as well. So for us, what does that mean? Guardian product is our main focus. So I love that. If you're from a president perspective, you like one singular focus, it makes everything a lot easier. And so for us, our singular focus is the Guardian product. How do we service it? How do we make it better? How do we serve our clients? It gives us a very, very narrow focus, which is going to also, I think, make everybody's lives, one, a lot easier, but benefits all of you. Something else that changes, client success gains equal footing to new sales. So very often when there's a founder-led business, when they come in, their main focus is getting new business in. That's how you grow. That's how you make yourself, visible to people that may want to acquire you later on. And so there was a lot of emphasis in the first couple of years of new logos, new business. And then there wasn't as much attention given to once you came in. You were there, you were set through implementation. And in many situations, you may have felt like you were on your own. You could come in through support, ask some questions, but there wasn't really a client motion there that was helping you. So the last 2 months, we've changed that. Many of you know Amanda and Amanda Fretz, and she is there. She is your client success manager, and that's why you're seeing her name, her face, and everything coming up a lot more. And so we're basically going right down the path there to make sure that we have new sales, which obviously is a focus for us. We want to grow and bring the product to as many people as we can. We also want to treat you really well when you come in. In the middle of that is implementation, which we're also focusing on. There's a great person named Chad who has been building out our implementation process. So if you're brand new to us, you may have met Chad already, and he's walking you through the implementation process, and we're making tweaks to it. And there's one other person named Ryan who is on top of support. So we've sort of siloed out the spots and then making sure that everybody flows through things so they get touched on each part of the journey and then give you access points in. So that's a pretty dramatic change from what was happening even 6 months ago. And then the final thing is the development team. I'm moving them to a sprint mentality. If you don't know what the sprint mentality means, is I basically need to speed up our development. Some people have sort of called out like, hey, it feels like we haven't seen a lot of releases coming out. We haven't seen a lot of things coming from new product. And that's true. There wasn't a thing in place where they could show releases. So Ryan actually just we had a bug release that went out. I think it was this week, if I remember right. And he got ourselves into a spot. We published what we released, and then there's a spot you can go into on our support channel, and you can see what those were. That's going to be a regular occurrence. Get ourselves into that motion, and then on the sprint mentality is a 2-week sprint, 3-week sprint, 4-week sprint. We'll get ourselves into that development process where we're looking at things, we're making changes, we're making improvements, and then we're moving it, releasing it, letting you all know about it. So give me a little time to keep working with them and getting that piece going, but that is where we're absolutely need to go so we can get development out the door and get it out the door faster than we have, and then also communicate it to you. All of you deserve to know what is going on in the product, whether it be for you personally because it's yours, or for the broader company because it affects everybody. All right, so where are we today? So this is the community today. Just a quick little heat map, and we're in 44 states around the country. You can sort of see, based on what that looks like. You have 44 states served. We have 107 colleges and universities. We have 85 K-12 districts. So we're sitting right around 205 total clients around the country, and that's great. It's a great size. We have some great inside those numbers, absolutely great institutions and great districts that are already sort of helping us and on the development side and giving us feedback. And we are trying to get to as many of those 200 as we possibly can right away. So Amanda's going through a really big motion right now to try to make sure that we're communicating at a high level and getting people into the boat of where they sit. And you'll see contact information from me at the end of this. You can absolutely come right to me right away. Do not wait to hear from Amanda if you need something right away. So we absolutely want to show that. But this is good. Obviously, next year, if I standing in front of all of you, we obviously want this to continue to grow. We want to see the product scale across the country. We'd love to be in all 50 states. We'd like to see both the college and university and the K-12 districts piece climb. And that's an important one for us as a business, but we feel the product that we have is really good. And that we feel that we can get ourselves into places where we can absolutely make a really big difference in what they're working with. So absolutely want to see that grow. We're very proud of what we have right now, and thank you for being a part of it. You're in there somewhere on that heat map. All right, so we've had some conversations with districts already, and we're already getting some good feedback. So I just want to throw some of the highlights that we have. Underneath this, there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of things that are in the product itself that we're hearing, but I just want to, I think, call out some of the big topics. So one is the operational effectiveness of it. So everybody, the beauty of the platform can also be a hindrance for us, which we have to overcome. The beauty of the platform is that it is highly configurable. One of the mistakes that was made in how they sold it to many of you was they used the word highly customizable. And the highly customizable piece gives a very different piece than being flexible and highly configurable. It's two different things. So it is a highly configurable platform that can flex into a lot of different ways. Um, but there are some limitations, obviously, when it comes into the product. So the operational effectiveness piece is being raised as, hey, tell us what we can and cannot do, and be upfront about it. And that's a very fair statement. We need to absolutely do that. So that's one of the things we sort of circled, that we need to make sure that when we're in conversations, whether it be on the sales side when we're selling, but also with dealing with our clients, is being a little bit more intentional on exactly how the product functions, what you cannot do, and allow you to see that, hear that, and then work with you to then say, okay, you want to achieve this. Let's go figure out how to do that based on what we have, set up. So the operational effectiveness has been a big one. The protection of data is also very big. This is one where people are like, well, your HECPATs, VPATs, SOC 2, everything there. So we are well on our path going here. So in the last 2 months, that's been a huge priority for myself. We needed to reset, redo, and to make sure that we had everything as up to date as possible within those regards. So we have a HECPAT that is complete. We had the VPAT. I wanted to, if you follow VPATs, I wanted a third party to look at the VPAT to give it some even more validity. That's being done right now. That should be done by July 10th or July 15th. So we'll have that third party authentication that we want. We have a SOC 2 that we are also going back and redoing to make sure that it's correct. We have the letter of authentication that we can provide, which normally gives you that leeway saying, hey, okay, they're working on it, they're doing it, they're redoing that. That was going to be an end of the year fully complete, but we have the letter that carries us to get to that spot. Pen test has been completed. That one's all set, so we have things there that we can share if you need it. So we've made a really concerted effort to go very fast to get this information done and completed, so we have that if you need it when you ask for it. So as you go into a renewal, and sometimes you need that, we should be really good, especially by the end of 2026. We should be completely buttoned up and wrapped up. Most of the stuff should be ready and available to be looked at even by the end of July, mid-August. So to make sure that we let you all know that. People circling reporting. People like the reporting that we have, but they want more of it. And some of them, they want the dashboards to look a little different. They want a little more accessibility into it. So I think we're always going to be iterating on that, because reporting out of a system like this is extremely important. If you are asked by your superintendent, you're asked by your dean, your VP, whatever it might be, and for reporting on what is happening, you need to be able to get that and give it in the ways that you need it. So I think there's always going to be this part of development of how do we keep working on that to make that better. And that takes a lot of feedback in. And there's still going to be times where we may not be able to completely get it to where you need it to be. But then we should work with you. Do you have something that you can use on your end where you can take the data and put it in Power BI, for example, or things like that? We want to have those conversations also. So we know that reporting is always going to be a topic of conversation for us. I think ease of use is the other one. The UI UX is not horrible. I think it actually there's a lot of really positives about it. But there are things that I think you can always keep making better. There's certain things with drop downs and being able to maybe limit the number of drop downs, or be able to put things into drop downs, maybe multiple choice on the drop downs. So that was a big focus on it. The forms and email part of it, we will have to keep working through, because there's functionality within the emails that people are calling out that, hey, we need more of this. We need more to be able to email out, come back into the platform. There's a whole launch list that happens with emails, forms as well. Making sure that we can, the ease of use of building forms, and make it easier and easier and easier for you. So there's a lot that happens within that bucket that we're looking at. There are some of you out there that are pushing this product to ways that I don't think we ever thought it could be done. Definitely not how the founder, when he created it, thought it could be done. I think it was Alamo, the community college system. They were sharing on a meeting. I mean, I was trying to take notes on the different ways that they were using it, and I couldn't keep up. That's fantastic, and we'll talk about user groups here in a little bit. This product does have the flexibility to be put into a lot of different places if you want it. But many times we need to make all of you aware that even exists, is even a possibility. So, but I love that we have clients that are like, I see this thing, I'm going to go ahead and push it out as much as I possibly can. and really start using it. And then, like I said, sharing it back with all of you, like, hey, have you thought about using it this way? Because there's a way we could do that. And then finally, integrations. Integrations are always going to be something whenever you have a platform like this, integrations are going to be important. And the integration piece, could be through your SIS, it could be into data systems, it could be into reporting systems. I mean, there's always going to be this element of iterating on the integration. And how do we keep making that better? How do we keep moving us forward on what that might look like? And that's one that where you have to have very more one-on-one conversations. On the sales side, this is nothing really to do with all of you now on the new business side. On the client side, we do have to be more intentional on being very deliberate on what we can and cannot do on the integration. There are some of you out there who may have been who walked in feeling like, yeah, they can do this kind of integration. We may be like, we can, but there's some limitations here. We just need to be more intentional on the front. We'll work with you on the client side to get you to the right spot, but I do appreciate some of the comments that we have to get better on setting the right expectations up front, so we don't have maybe a hard conversation on the back, and we'll make sure we do that. All right, in the market, there's a lot of things happening, and this is not by any means the only thing that we're seeing, but I do want our client base to realize we're not just having a platform here for having a platform. We do understand where the market is going, and if you sit with me in any kind of conversation, there's going to be many times I'm going to be asking, what are your thoughts? Like, what are you seeing in the market? And try to get a feel more and more, because the way the product is built and the way that we want to talk with all of you is to make sure that we're meeting you where the market is dictating you go. So here's some things that we're seeing, and as I was doing research over the last month, as I try to see where this market is going to go, it's in flux. There's a lot happening. None of this is in stone, but these are things that I'm thinking about. If you refute any of these, you want to add to this, and I have a whole bunch of other things that go underneath this. These are just the highlights. By all means, let's debate about it. I think that's where we get the biggest spot of getting better. So there's some things here. Title IX claims will continue to grow in both markets. I do think that that's going to occur. I know that there is, you've had some changes within the government on how they're approaching it, almost pushing it back into the states a little bit. But there's some areas where I think this could continue to pop up. One is athletics. I'm watching athletics really carefully because you look at NIL, for example, kind of ripe for some spots there where we can see things coming up. Even in high school, there's just a lot of, I think, attention there, and it's a growing sort of Wild West mentality that's happening, which to me is open for things happening that people can be like, I don't think this is right. And then the cases come out of that. So I'm watching the athletics piece pretty hard. If any of you feel the same way, I'd love to hear from you on what your opinions are there. I think parenting is another one that's coming down the pipe. If not, it's already in some of the districts and in the universities. When I say parenting, could be from a student parenting perspective, accessibility. Are they being treated fairly? Are they being treated equally? Whether that be in the high school, whether that be in the university setting. So I think we have to watch that. And then the one that I think I'm assuming would agree, is the online and digital sexual harassment piece, which is it seems to be in the news everywhere. And there's a lot of, I think, risk, and liability that is out there. I do not envy a district who has something happen online digitally with someone in the home, but then they're coming into the school and having a debate like, well, is that our problem? Is it out here? How do we put the case in there? I think this is going to continue to be something that is iterated on and debated on. Platform wise, we need to be able to be there to allow for those things to then come in and provide things really strong anonymous ways that people can bring in the worries and the concerns, so that it comes into a platform that you can then deal with it in a closed version of things. So I think that there's a lot to go on there. I think districts are revisiting policies revised from 2024. We know this is happening. I think there's procedural compliance focus is increasing. I think there people are looking at right now, what kind of support are we giving the people that are coming forward, and then when we do give the support to them, are we documenting that heavily so we are able to, one, to be fair, liability wise, cover ourselves, but also we can also go back and understand what was done, so we can continue to talk about that. So I think that was big there. I think the higher ed Title IX, what I'm seeing more and more here when you talk to people, that it's coming up underneath more and more under the general counsel office. Sometimes the general counsel is the Title IX person, but we're seeing that more and more come together as they try to centralize things. I think they're also, when you talk to people, they're anticipating that there's going to be future federal changes, and so you cannot build your compliance structure rigidly. You have to be able to have it flex, because as the mandates change and things happen, you don't want to have to go rebuild the structure. So you're trying to build flexibility into it, so you're able to prepare for that. I think this one's interesting. The student conduct, care teams, and BITS teams, we're seeing more and more that are continuing to come together. Before, they may have been more siloed. And so threat assessment and prevention becomes paramount. And you do that by it's not what it used to be, where it was, you broke a rule, you broke the rule, right? That was the thing. Now it's, you broke the rule, and then what are we doing to help you? What are we doing to assist you? I have circled this when I was talking to the team yesterday. There is a place here in the future where there's an alert piece that I can see. This is not coming right away, but I can see an alert piece coming with the platform, where if you have repeat offenders, you have repeat things happening with someone, flagging that in the platform, and allowing you to see that as a flag, and then being able to take action in a positive way towards that individual, would be something that would be really unique for us. Now, I had a couple of people district wise, and even on the higher ed side, call that out as well. That's a really interesting improvement to the product that I sort of circled as, the development team. What does that look like for us? And so I may be coming to you, asking you all for advice on that one. We know AI misconduct is becoming a normalized part of conduct codes. If it hasn't already happened where you're at, my guess is it will. So we need to build that type of thing inside the platform as we go forward. And then this one is why I think the reporting and what is happening in the platform is so important. The student conduct resolution is becoming more of a legal proceeding, meaning that there is more, I may go get a lawyer if I'm a student. I may ask for more documentation of what has happened. There's just more and more of it's not just accepted that I did something wrong and I accept whatever is there. There's absolutely going, well, if you tell me I've done something, prove it. And now we're going through more of a legal proceeding piece. You need the information in a platform to be able to go handle that, feel very confident that you are protected and you've done the right things and you've followed the right processes. That's what this platform is for. So we need to be able to set up for that. So there's a lot going on, a lot more obviously than just this, but it's, I think we want to make sure that we come across as being knowledgeable about the market, knowledgeable about what we're doing. We're not just building a platform and throwing it out there. All right, so vision-wise for me, been here 2 months. Obviously, the vision's going to get bigger and bigger and change. But there's 3 things that are coming into vision for myself right now as we go through this. One, and there's 3 of them. One, we need deeper client partnerships. You've heard me already talk about that earlier. This is the client success management done by Amanda, Chad, Ryan. I just talked about this yesterday with some clients. There's a client community aspect that I think is really important to this specific group. The platform can be used in so many different ways that we need to expose that to as many people as possible, because the discussions that could come out of that will be really important. And it's not, we don't want just Amanda being there and trying to answer all of that. We would like to get you all together to talk about and to iterate and to help each other. So the client community piece is very important. I am going to do a users conference. Some of you actually did a users conference. I think it was in Nashville, maybe 2 years ago. We're going to ease ourselves back into that. So we're going to do just a quick 4-hour one in November. Users conference, bring people together, do 4 hours, do some breakout sessions, get people thinking and talking. just to introduce the idea back in. We'll probably launch our client community at that time as well, and start going down that path. That's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And then in 2027, we absolutely want to do more of a full users conference. We'll come back, and whether it's going to be in person or whether it be a full day virtual, whatever we come back with. But we want to create opportunities for all of you to get together, hear from myself, hear from the team, hear from the company, but even more importantly, hear from each other. So more to come on that, but that's a big thing for us. We need to make sure that we grow this community together and give you more and more ways to connect. Stronger innovation development. We need this. This is almost everybody has asked this question that I've talked to, and I completely agree. You've heard me talk about the release schedules. We need to get that set up so we're actually on a consistent basis releasing and then communicating that out to you. I think the development that matches need. So one of the things, there was going to be a product release that was going to go out, I think it was maybe about a month ago. I actually stopped it. Said, not yet. The reason was I didn't feel that what they were going to release matched what I was starting to hear from all of you. So I asked them not to do that, because every time you do a release, it does cost money, right? So if I'm going to spend budget, let's make sure that what we release starts to address the actual needs of clients that are talking to us. So we're going through that exercise right now. Also, why we're pausing is I'm talking to all of you. I want to understand more and more what we have out there that we need to go fix. So be patient with me a little bit as I make sure that the first one we do starts to actually pick away at the things that many of you need help with. And then we'll get ourselves into that release schedule. So more to come there. And then we need to grow the community. So, I don't want it to be lost that, yes, this is a business. Yes, we need to grow. Yes, we want to keep bringing people in. But there's ways to do that I think we can lean on and help from all of you. You're going to hear us talk more and more about references and case studies. If you like what we're doing, you like the product in some way, you're willing to talk for us, maybe sit next to me at a conference or sit next to me on a webinar, or just give us something we can do a white paper on. We'd love to hear from you about that. We'll be coming out and asking as well, because that's a nice way of selling and getting people into the community because of other people talking about it. I've always been a big belief on that. So more to come there. When we look at clients, this is a little different from, I think, how I approach things. I don't necessarily want every person to buy. There's a little bit of interviewing that goes on with clients that come in as well. One of the things that I will look at is, are they going to be good partners with us? And if they're not, then there's a little bit of a question mark of, like, it doesn't make sense, because what you don't want is people coming in who then can be a really, really big time suck, energy suck, that then takes away people from all of you. So, it's just a little bit of way we're looking at it, making sure that we bring people in who good contributors to the community, absolutely want to use the product at a high level, but also are going to be, I think, positive influences as well. So something that we will look at. And then more and more, we need to understand all of you way better. We need to understand what your strategic thinking is. We need to understand where you're going with the product, where you're taking things, and then align ourselves to that. It isn't like, hey, we have the product, you got to align to us. Through the confines of the product, there's walls there that we have to abide by a little bit, just because it's a product, but does not mean that we can understand what you're trying to do and work as hard as we can to help you get there based on the product use. So come back to me in 6 months. I'll probably have even more, information here, more of a longer term vision. I don't want to go out there and give you the 3-year vision quite yet, because like I said, been here 2 months, still seeing where the bodies are buried and uncovering rocks. But right off the bat, these are the 3 things that we are going to feel and put out there, and hopefully you feel it from us as we go forward. All right. So what excites me the most? And I think when people come in, they're like, well, you must love the fact that you've got great institutions, you have good growth trajectory, future development. That honestly doesn't excite me. What I've gotten very excited about, and the conversation I've had and being here for the last 2 months, is that I truly believe we can help institutions across the country solve a similar challenge. If you go back to the need of what's happening in the market, there's a lot happening in this market. And I do believe that Guardian is set in a really unique position to help all of those districts, all the higher ed institutions solve these issues that they're going to deal with, because it's such an influx moment that giving something of efficiency, of calmness, of where you have something you trust, that's going to be such a massive impact. It frees you to go do the job you're being asked to do, and we can sort of be in the background. I used an analogy yesterday where, so if when you watch a basketball game, for example, if we just went to the NBA Finals, if you watch that, or college basketball, there's referees on the court and there's the teams playing. The best games are where the focus and the energy and everything is on the players and what they're doing. The referees are there, right? They're controlling everything, making sure it's all there. But the games where the referees are sort of disappear in the background, they're doing their job, but you don't see them. Those are the best games. If you want a goal of what I'm looking for guarding to be, it's that. I want you to go do your jobs. I want you to have to handle all the things that you have to handle, but I want you to feel really confident there's a platform that's sitting behind there, quietly doing the work and making sure that you can just go do what you have to do. And you don't even know that we're there. You're just using it. That's the goal. Quietness, efficient, calm. So are we there yet? We're there with some people. Some of you we're not. But that's the goal. Efficiency, calm, fade in the background, be there and allow you to do all the things that you need to do. Beyond the office, who am I? I think it's good to sort of humanize people a little bit. So I live in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. That is a suburb of Cincinnati. So I'm right across the river, Ohio River, from Cincinnati, and 5 miles. If you come up out of Cincinnati, there's this big, we call it the Cut in the Hill, big hill that goes up. Up there sits a bluff, and there's a bunch of developments up there. You're ever there. If you're ever driving south towards Lexington, Kentucky, and you see Fort Mitchell come up, that's me. Give me a wave as you drive by. I've been married for 29 years. We met back in college. She also, is from Valparaiso University. We have 2 children. We have a daughter. She's now a sophomore at the University of Washington. She's studying neuroscience. And then I have a son who's a senior in high school. He's all things talent management and digital and film and graphic design, all those things. He really enjoys that. He's also a really good tennis player. They won state last 2 years, and they were runner-ups this year. So we're always busy with that. For me, love golf. When I say that, I've been playing golf since I've been in 4th grade. I have literally shot the same scores my entire life. I've never gotten worse. I've never gotten better. I just go out and I play. But I do love it. It's very relaxing to me. You can't live in Kentucky and not enjoy bourbon tasting. So I absolutely love that. If the benefit of living in Kentucky, you can get to all the distilleries whenever you like. And so it's fun to just sort of taste the different ones and sample what's going on out there. And I love a good book. I'm actually a closet introvert. So you play the role of the extrovert when you're the president of a company, but in reality, more of an introvert. Just give me a little glass of bourbon, a book, some low lighting, happy as can be. Fun fact, I've been to all 50 states. Last year, I hit Alaska for my 50th state. I had my family with me, which was awesome. And that doesn't mean that I was at the airport. The rule is I had to get out of the airport, go be a part of the state in order for it to count. So I've been to all 50 states, and that's a little bucket list item that I was able to check off. So I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. At the end of the day, I'm very excited to be here. I'm excited to have all of you as clients. I hope that we move the word from client to more partner. I think that's going to be a transition for us. Guardian is a good product. There's a lot that's benefit that I see from it. We can absolutely make it better. We're going to listen to all of you more. We're going to show up for all of you even more than we have. I need you to tell me when things are going well. I need you to tell me when things need to be worked on. And we'll have that conversation. So by all means, you can reach out to me via the email. You can also reach out to me via LinkedIn. Happy to connect with you on LinkedIn as well. If we're at a conference and you see me, please come right up and talk to me. Let's sit down, let's talk, get a cup of coffee, whatever it might be. I'd love to hear from you wherever we're at. And I just really appreciate all of you having been our clients. And I hope that we'll see you as clients for many, many more years. And just thanks for being part of it.